In this video, we will be showing you how to install the belt assembly on an FMP260 Flail Mower. First, pry the rotor over to the belt chamber side as much as possible. Put your spacers on the shaft. Remember to put on the same amount of spacers as there was when taking the belt assembly apart. There is no spacers for the top shaft. Then insert the taper hub for the top shaft in a pulley, start the taper hub bolt, and put it on the shaft. Insert the key. Put the forebelt in the grooves of the top pulley. Install the bottom pulley. Start the taper hub bolt and insert the key. With a straight edge, check if the pulleys line up quite closely. If they don't, make sure to add more or less spacers for both of them to line up. Start the center bolts. For the top center bolt, you will first need to add enough washers so that it's flush with the taper hub, then tighten the center bolts. Tighten the taper hub bolts and also torque them. Block the rotor so that the hubs won't turn when torquing the bolts. For 1/4 inch bolts that use a 7/16 socket, the torque spec is 108 inch-pounds, and the torque spec for 5/16 bolts that use a 1/2 inch socket would be 180 inch-pounds. In order to torque the top bolt, you will need to put tension on the belt. The bottom center bolt might be loose after torquing the taper hub bolt, so just tighten that bolt up again. Then check the alignment with a straight edge again. If the pulleys don't line up within 1/8 of an inch, then you will need to remove one of the pulley and taper hubs to add or remove a spacer. To remove a pulley, remove the center bolt, loosen these bolts and start them in the threaded holes. Then go around and tighten them evenly until the pulley is loose. But before installing the taper hub bolts again, make sure to sand the ends of the bolts down to prevent stripping threads. Once the pulleys are aligned, you can tighten the belt. To do that, make sure these gearbox bolts are loose as well as these bolts here. Then tighten the tensioning bolts evenly. The proper belt tension specs would be 1/2 inch deflection at 4 1/4 pounds of force on a new belt, and 1/2 inch deflection at 3 pounds of force for a used belt. With a level on the gearbox shaft and a level on the frame, adjust the tensioning bolts to have the level on the shaft match the level on the frame. Then tighten the gearbox bolts as well as these bolts, and make the tensioning bolts and nuts snug. Check the pulley alignment and belt tension one last time, and if all seems good, you're then ready to test out your new belt.